You have an idea for an invention, but you're not sure how to get it out of your brain and into your hands. This is how you make progress through the various stages of prototyping to get to your final product. In this video, I'm going to talk about your initial prototype, enhancing that initial prototype, your professional prototype, and getting a manufactured prototype. Make sure you stay to the end where I talk about what I learned going through this process. The very first step is to create that initial prototype. So you could either go to a supply store, a hardware store, steal some of your sister's art supplies. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to get creative. If you go to one of these stores, just walk up and down the aisles and maybe you'll grab some inspiration from something that you see. For me, I went to Home Depot and I grabbed a few basic items just to make sure the overall mechanics of my product worked and functioned as expected. After getting mild inspiration from that initial prototype, the next logical step was to enhance that prototype. So I decided to buy a very basic and cheap 3D printer and use my very novice 3D design skills to try and put something together and print it out. I'll be making a separate video on 3D printing for prototyping in the future, so make sure you look out for that. And I know this method isn't for everyone and can seem a little overwhelming, but this was by far the best decision I made when I was going through the process. I was able to design, print, test, redesign, reprint over and over and over again for a very cheap filament, and it was very easy to do. For a printer, check out their Curality Ender 3, and for free software, check out Tinkercad. YouTube has great tutorials on all of this stuff. If 3D printing is not your cup of tea, don't worry guys, I'm going to put you onto this website called McMaster.com. I'm convinced that the entire state of Ohio is just a warehouse for McMaster because look at the amount of parts that these guys have. It is actually insane. I'm going to go ahead and type in Acme rod. Acme is just a very specific type of thread. I want to see if they have it. Looks like they have multiple versions. Going to go and click on this one here. You can select your component on the left-hand side. Look at all the different sizes, thread pitches, grades they have. If you click on one of these, go to product details. It'll bring up the product page. It gives you a nice picture, the dimensions. If you click this drop down right here, it gives you 3D models that you can then download and 3D print if you like. It has all these specs. This website is amazing if you're trying to make a legit enhanced prototype. After you've gotten your prototype to the best of your capabilities, it is time to get a professional involved. My engineer was extremely helpful and intelligent, and he brought my enhanced prototype to a place that was way beyond my 3D design capabilities and imagination. We cycled through multiple versions of my product until we eventually got to one that both worked and included all the features that I asked for. Okay, to find these prototype engineers, you can ask a mentor if you have one, or you could just scour the internet and try to look for one. I interviewed 3 companies before I found my guy. I will link the website to my prototype engineer in the description down below. No, I'm not getting paid for this. I just think he deserves it. Okay, when you're interviewing these prototyping companies, you're going to want to include these 4 key action items. Number 1, determine if you need them to produce both drawings and a physical prototype for you. If you're confident in your design and it's relatively straightforward, you may be able to get away with just a set of drawings that you can then bring to a manufacturer. However, if you don't test this product and the manufacturer brings you a prototype that doesn't work, you're going to have to redo the drawings and then resend it to the manufacturer, and it's going to be a whole nother fee to get a second prototype made. What I recommend is that you just get final drawings and a prototype made all at once by your prototype engineer, and then you're confident that it's going to work and you can send those final drawings to the manufacturer. Number 2, request specs and dimensions on your drawings. The specs on your drawings determine the finishes, tolerances, material, the final touches that you're going to be putting on your product, while the dimensions, on the other hand, are the measurements of all aspects of your physical product. Number 3, request that they sign an NDA before you go into business with them. These companies work with inventors all the time and prototypes, so it's very common for them to sign this, and they're not going to be offended in any sort of way. It's better to be safe than sorry. Your invention is your baby. Treat it like one. Don't leave it in a hot car on a summer day with the windows rolled up. To get an NDA, you don't need a lawyer. Just Google NDA for intellectual property. You'll be able to find something that'll align with your values. Print it out, change your name, sign it, send it over to them. It's pretty simple. Number 4, request a working prototype. This essentially means that what they're providing you is not an arts and crafts project, and it's going to function exactly the same way as the product that you're going to deliver to your consumer. Aesthetically, it may look a little different in the end, but the overall mechanics and functions are the same. Once you get all that done, you can take your professional prototype to a manufacturer. You're going to go to websites like Alibaba.com or Thomasnet.com to find these manufacturers and send them your drawings. Check out the video on my channel on how to reach out to manufacturers. The prototype process is really the first step you need to go through before starting your business. This provides you with proof of concept, aka your product actually works, and once you find out that it does work, you can start selling it to people. Moving on to the things that I have learned throughout this process. Due to limited design skills, lack of manufacturing knowledge, and constantly making revisions on my product, I felt like my invention was never going to be ready to send to a professional, so I ended up being stuck in the enhanced prototype phase for almost a year. I'm here to tell you, do not worry about this. This is the reason why you're paying a professional to do it. Chances are you don't even need to have a 3D printer and go through the entire process that I went through. I just wanted to be safe and do it myself before I ended up dumping a bunch of money into my invention. Thank you guys so much, and follow, subscribe if you want to learn more about what the entrepreneurial grind is really like. Appreciate it. Love y'all.